Here's how to make a Vegemite sandwich. First, get a piece of bread. Then, with a knife, put the Vegemite on the bread. Then put bread on top. Today I'm learning how to 3D model by giving my computer the instructions for what I want. Help me. This is around 10 kilos, it's a fair bit of weight.
I don't think hit save.
That's sick. That's not right.
Bro, 4D? I'm about to like suck my computer into a wormhole?
Yep, my speaker has fallen over. After 2 years, this flexible filament stand buckled under pressure. Now I don't want just a stronger design. No, I want to be able to lift a virtual speaker of any size to any height and have my instructions, kind of like code, create a completely unique speaker stand ready for 3D printing. Today's video is sponsored by Prusa, so I'll be using their 3D printers and filament, and I asked Yamaha if they could sponsor some white speakers, so your boy now has a pair of HS7s. I love to connect the dots in my head of where an idea come from. You know when someone says like, how'd you come up with that idea? I like zoom back in the past and like connect all the threads to figure out like where it started and how it got here. So welcome to my brain. 2019, I watched a mini doco on Neri Oxman and her team's work at MIT Media Lab, exploring how using inspiration from nature through biomimicry shapes her designs. I'm fascinated by Voronoi. It's like an organic structure found in nature on the skin of a giraffe, on the wing of a dragonfly. This is as close as I could get before it flew off, so here's another stock image. I have a piece of coral I found that's on my bedside table. It's kind of on the top, and even the bubbles of my hot chocolate created this Voronoi pattern. And it's something Neri said in that doco that unlocked the original idea.
I tell the team members, you have to be ready for your project to appear in the atrium of the Museum of Modern Art and at the same time on the cover of Nature and Science. We don't do either.
2022, I embarked on creating the original design of my speaker stands. And it was thanks to a tutorial by Nadeem that unlocked the secret sauce to create a Voronoi pattern with the 3D modeling software Blender. I still had to do a lot of manual adjustments by hand with my mouse to get exactly what I was after. And yes, my mouse has a similar pattern. I know, I like this pattern a lot. I had to resort to sculpting like clay the 4 contact points for the speaker to sit on, resulting in a project I am so proud of, my one-of-a-kind custom speaker stands. Until the PLA Flex filament I printed them in broke, became really brittle, I presume from the UV through the window after a couple years. So I reprinted them in TPU, and after a year or so, well, that too buckled. I've even been putting off getting white speakers simply because they're a different size and require a different size stand. And so I had to do it. I had to learn, finally, how to do procedural modeling.
I found a short form video.
Plain and simple. Get a quick win by doing the same steps I did years ago.
There's no way. It took like months to find out how to do that initially.
Now can I replicate that effect, which required manual tuning, to be with nodes and make it automated. So if I connect a node for a cube to the output, we see a cube. If I add a transformation in between, I can transform the cube before the output. So I just need to find those modifiers in node form to make the pattern.
If I connect that to this, and then this to this, and then it's the same as before. Then we did a decimate.
So it turns out not every modifier exists as a node.
You can't, like there just isn't one.
If you're like me, you 3D model in the traditional sense. You take a 2D profile and you extrude it. This gives you a 3D shape. Now from here, I can pull a surface up, I can push a surface across, and I can mark off a fraction of a surface that I want to extrude up. And that just makes sense, right? It's like a two-way street with your computer. You do the thing, you look, you click, you drag, and it does the next step. But with the instructions I'm trying to make, it's really difficult because I don't know, one, the name of the node, which is the tool to use, and I need to then figure out how to tell that tool to do exactly what it is I need it to do. See, there's actually a built-in Voronoi generating node.
Okay, cool. That's Voronoi.
But I don't really have control over the shapes of the holes it generates.
I don't like how thin that one is, but everything else is getting smoothed. Bro, 4D? I'm about to like suck my computer into a wormhole.
I'm pretty sure this is the moment I realized I have no idea what I'm doing. My brain hurts. It'll work out. Dude, I couldn't afford to buy these when I was shopping for speakers like years ago. But here we are. So thanks to you watching, Yamaha have sent them. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity. These are active, which means you don't need an amp. You know what? Actually, I'm going to see the front myself first. I like the exposed bolts. Matches my desk aesthetic. There's a bit of a problem. These guys are a lot heavier than my other speakers. Dude, these have got a thump. This is what I've been using for 10 years. Mackie MR5 Mark IIIs. They're taller, which means the speaker stands don't have to be as tall because the tweeter is naturally higher. Width-wise, they're not much different either, eh? This is around 10 kilos, so it's a fair bit of weight. That's the weak point right there. So if my design was less hourglass shaped, there'll be less chance, buckling in. Thicker walls, the safe option is just to print it completely from non-flexible.
Now you might be thinking, Cam, is this even worth all this effort? Like, why are you sitting on the floor to listen to speakers?
Oh yeah, I'm very happy. That sounds so good. The bass. Listen, I'm not an audiophile snob, but I can't stand low quality audio. In my late teens, I was a nightclub DJ, which led me to buy my first pair of studio monitors. And since then I couldn't go back. Like laptop speakers, no thank you. But as you can see, the problem is my speakers are currently on my desk. A speaker's cone moves, vibrating air that travels to your ears, creating sound. The cone moving also creates vibrations in the speaker body. Vibrations can then transfer into the desk that it's sitting on, which can then create unwanted sound. And so goal one is to isolate the speaker from the desk. And the height of a speaker from the desk matters in two ways. First, having a speaker cone too close to a desk can bounce sound waves off, reaching your ear slightly after the direct ones, reducing clarity. I don't want desk reflections. And second, the tweeter should be at ear level, or at least pointed at my ear. You'll often see stands that are a wedged angle to point at an ear. As a tip, tilt the speaker until you can't see that top rear edge of it. That should have a pointing at your head. The best option, raise the whole speaker until the tweeter is at ear level. And so that's why I made my speaker stands, because raising the tweeter to ear level gives the best quality of sound, also removes the risk of desk reflections, plus having a flexible material is absorbing majority of the vibrations before it reaches the desk surface. It actually absorbed more than the pair of foam speaker stands that I had. Plus it looks really cool. It doesn't look like a speaker stand.
Feeling lost, I just sketched out what the optimal starting shape would be and then added points for each direction change. And I realized that the dot-to-dot equivalent would be diamonds, making each line branch out and then join back together.
Nah, man, there is no way. I just figured that out. Look at this. It's a circle, and then there's lines going up in a circle. It's like the side walls of a cylinder.
Oh, and I can wiggle them. Oh, far out. I crashed Blender. I don't think it hit save. Okay, so I can make lines in a circle. I can join two of the closest dots together, making a line. If I scale it up, then that's, what the heck is that? That's not right.
What I want to do is make like the general branch pattern first and then put that around a circle. So they're all kind of rotated where I can hopefully then try and join the tips together. And then I can then just repeat that up.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to join the tips. They would touch, but not join. But I did learn how to put blobs on lines and then join blobs together. But then I realized I have no idea how to make the blobs warp into the Voronoi pattern. And so I had to take a step back, take a break, focus on a different problem. See, Prusa asked me to use their new Core 1 Plus 3D printer, but I have the old Non-Plus model. What's this? Hang on, you can buy or print the parts to upgrade to the new model yourself? So that new bayonet style spool holder that's ready for their direct feed dry box can be simply screwed on. And if I pop the hood and add a little finger to the print head and a notch to the grill, I now have automatic top vent operation for different filament temperatures. What else does the guide say? Apparently I can recycle hardware from the old filament sensor assembly and combine them with new parts to create the new and improved easy flexible filament loading sensor, where a switch uses a magnet to reduce pressure when loading filament. Well, that's perfect timing, because I'm about to load flexible filament for some test prints, so I can disable, load in the filament, and then enable the filament sensor. How many brands do you know that let you upgrade to the new model without forcing you to buy a whole new product?
4 hours sleep last night. I couldn't stop thinking about geometry nodes. Also ate a lot of chocolate before bed, so I think there was a sugar issue going on as well. What I've come to is that I've approached it the wrong way. I've been trying to approach it to recreate what I made instead of just trying to find out what the new organic way is to make the structure.
I've spent ages trying to learn how to join lines together, and it always resulted in a structured pattern. But Voronoi is organic. It's random. So what if I added more lines than I needed and then just randomly joined some of those lines together? This random approach feels like something I've done before. 2023, I discovered Tyler Hobbs's work. Mate, if you're a computer nerd, you should look at his art. I'll link it in the description below. Some of it's done with hand, but most is a computer. Now this is called creative coding in a form of generative art. Pre-AI generative art. We're not talking that way. We're talking like you write a script and then every time you run the script, it gives you a random output. So I love this one. This is called Fidenza. Look at these like swirls with the lines. I'm not a fan of the big lines. Oh my God. But this one, all the little ones, far out. That's sick. So his algorithms have a bunch of constraints, right? So it's like draw a bunch of lines, but they can't touch each other, and then add color, but the color can't be clustered too much in one area. It needs to be distributed nicely. And every time he hits run, a completely different thing comes out. And I'll link his work below, but it inspired me so much that I spent an entire month, 1 hour a day, 6 days a week, so 24 hours total, learning generative art, creative coding. And my end result was a bunch of lines in one color in a flow field. But I did make some stuff that I thought was really cool. Yeah, I'll tell you the secret. I've been planning out a 100,000 subscribers video, and if you have left a comment, or if you leave a comment before 100,000 subscribers, then it should end up in some form in a generative art piece. That's all I'm gonna say for now. And so I thought, I need a randomly generated pattern, something from nature. And if by a miracle, I clicked on a video by RedJam9 on how to generate cobblestones, it hit me. I could use the stones as my holes. Finally, the breakthrough I've been searching for. I can't believe it. I add a node for a cylinder. I increase the mesh so that there are more lines, and then I start to join random lines. This is it. Hey, no, not that. That's too far. Back. Yeah, that's good. Cut the top and the bottom. Yeah, perfect. Now this is it. I can scale to any size and it just generates the holes. All I have to do now is optimize this shape for 3D printing.
I spent like over 10 hours today.
What's frustrating is I know how to separate the horizontal lines. I just don't know how to say, if it's a horizontal line, rotate it. Honestly, I'm a little scarred from this situation, so we're gonna blitz through it. I tried to remove any horizontal lines from the design. Asked for help on Instagram, got a bunch of support and comments, I really appreciate it, but no one really knew how I'd stuffed it up as much as I had, because it's not really a normal thing to try and do. And then I actually kind of figured out how to do it, and I realized it was a lost cause, because if I went anti-clockwise or clockwise, it might put a dent in the hole to the left or right of the horizontal line. And so the entire aesthetic is thrown off. But I did figure something out, and that was I could run my Voronoi generating pattern when the speaker stem was squished and then stretch it up, which then would mean that any horizontal line would slightly be stretched up, so they would be a little less horizontal. That's a win. If you're wondering why horizontal lines are bad, I plan to print with TPU, which is flexible to absorb speaker vibrations. But flexible filament will also droop down whilst 3D printing. As covered in my Before You Try 3D Printing guide, supports are needed as temporary scaffolding during the printing process for this circumstance, but I prefer to minimize plastic waste by creating a better design for this manufacturing method. Thankfully, the stock print profile is good enough for me to clean up with a lighter, as I did with the original speaker stand, but making it look good is only half the battle. Bracing the sides as a full cylinder would, it's pretty strong. The old shape buckle's way easier, and I reckon this one's close to what it needs to be. However, knowing the old design lasted over 2 years before giving out, I want to do further testing before trusting TPU again. So I'm going to stick with what I got for now because it just works. That means using the new 300x300mm solid aluminium convection AC heat bed on the Prusa Core 1L with rigid PETG plastic, as I have full confidence this will hold the weight. Definitely PETG, very rigid. There's not a huge difference between the overhangs on a small circle versus like a long one. The droopiness is probably about the same. Now I need to figure out the top to only have 4 contact points with the speaker. Also, shout out to Zen3D. Homie tutorials on YouTube just like got me through it, man. Every search term, pristine SEO for his title tags. I could find exactly what I was after, solved a lot of the problems. That all being said, here's the algorithm. Create a curve. Copy curve around a circle. Mirror image and join in the center. Squish down. Randomize points for deletion. Delete points within a certain distance of one another. triangulate, then dual mesh keeping boundaries, raise the top edge where two lines join, and raise them higher if they're too flat. At this stage, I'll enable the subdivision modifier to smooth out every edge, and the wireframe modifier so I can thicken up the model. At this stage, I wanted to create the 4 points to hold up the speaker, but I couldn't figure out how to do it with the speaker, but I can with 4 spheres. This is the logic. This will lift the closest point to the sphere where 3 lines join, and this will lift any point within a certain proximity for a consistent curve at the top, resulting in the model dynamically adjusting to wherever the sphere is placed. And if we do that 4 times, hopefully a speaker can sit on top. Print 1. Oh, it's so heavy. Hell yeah, that's sick. So the big question is, does this rigid PETG plastic version absorb any vibrations? Using the accelerometer built into my phone, I took measurements of the new stand, the flexible stand, and the speaker sitting on the desk. Unsurprisingly, the rigid plastic doesn't absorb as much as the flexible, so I still want to try and figure out TPU in the future. TPU is also slightly non-slip, so I replaced the foam I taped on the bottom of the speakers with double-sided nano tape to minimize contact surface area and maximize grip for the current PETG filament stands. So if my measurements are correct, hopefully the height is the same as my monitor. Yes, it's like dead on. That's pretty damn good. I have a mini spirit bubble. That's even better. Whoa. To get to this point, wow, February. And now we're in mid-May, and I'm finally at the point where I can now print an entire stand that I made from code. That's sick. It's like coded, bro. Like, I don't know about you, but things like this make me so excited because I've been like, my brain has been burning for months, like melting, trying to figure out how to do this. And now it's like all that work and effort comes together. I'd be lying if I said that it's perfect, because sometimes when I generate a stand, it deletes too much geometry and the whole thing just breaks. But I'm not too fast because I can simply generate another one, and another one. Like, how cool is this? You can download the 2 stands I generated today for free on my free Patreon tier. You'll also find the Blender file over there as well. I'm so happy to finally have learned how to do procedural modeling with geometry nodes. Subscribe to catch my next tech vid or custom project, and thank you for watching.